Hello and welcome to the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token podcast. This is episode 90. My name is Chris.
I'm Euan.
I'm David.
I'm Pawel.
Hi, Pawel.
Hi.
This is actually take 2 of the intro because we did something stupid.
Oh, we
and you were just telling us how much you missed this.
No, I did not. There's no evidence of that.
You were getting very emotional during take 1.
He was tearing up.
No, it's all. I'm just going through the motions now. Now it's just episode 90. Let's just get cracking.
You done with it now?
Yeah. It's been too long now. It's like we've been here for 10 minutes, man.
Well, welcome back with another extended summer holiday.
It's been a long one.
It's been a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's been about a week or two longer than I was expecting it to be, but we needed to give you some time to play Overcooked 2, Euan.
Right, well that's got to happen.
It's got to happen. So we're going to talk video games this week.
Hey.
And, well, we might as well just get started. Let's not extend this any longer this holiday, because let's talk about Overcooked 2, Euan.
Let's get straight into it.
Because we were big fans of Overcooked 1.
It's pretty special. If you've seen the stream,
Yep.
I mean, we were right into that game.
Which basically involved me screaming at you for a long period of time.
Euan, what are you doing? Get that pot off the wheel. What are you doing that for? And it's much the same in Overcooked 2.
Yes. So if you don't know what Overcooked is, it's a silly just cooking game which is ridiculously chaotic, and it's supposed to be that way. And it's made by Team 17. Sorry, I'm going to take that back because it's not actually developed by Team 17. It was published by Team 17, but they've got their name on the box.
Oh, okay.
It's developed by Ghost Town Games. But yes, so it's a cooking simulator, and the first Overcooked was basically just a couch co-op game. I think it was made on a pretty small budget. But I mean, it's a solid game and it's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Because basically what's happening, there's a lot of orders coming in at the top of the screen. There's various cooking stations in the restaurant that you're playing in, and you have to just prep everything, get it cooked, but then there's just so much going on at once. You're trying to prepare several orders at once because you have to in order to 3-star the levels, Euan.
Oh, you've got to get your Michelin stars.
Presuming
that's what they are.
I don't know if they're Michelin stars, but and then you have to serve things, but you've got to start doing things like washing the dishes, and everybody's getting in each other's ways, and the levels are deliberately designed to be really annoying for people to try and get round. So you're getting in each other's roads, you're knocking each other off the side of the level.
They do like throwing as much stuff at you as possible.
I seem to recall that the main feature of the first game was badly designed kitchens, but
yes,
I should have hoped that apart from multiplayer, they would at least introduce some sort of waiter stations and actual customers. Is it still just kitchens?
Why would they do that?
Because this is like the second part of the.
You think this is the natural evolution?
Pavel's eternal quest for flavour.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if
nice pun there, Euan.
Well.
Right, I should really ask about the story, because I seem to recall something about a humanoid onion or something like this in the first one.
Okay, yeah. So the first, they take the story really seriously in Overcooked.
I thought so.
So in the first game, the Onion King has summoned you to travel back in time because some sort of giant spaghetti monster has turned up and is trying to eat everything, and you have to go back in time and learn how to cook properly.
Now, you do actually... Do you have to go back and fight that spaghetti monster?
You don't fight him. You cook for him. You cook for him.
It's culinary combat.
That's a good way of putting it. Culinary combat.
That's the way I look at it. It is, and it is violent.
So what's the story in the second part then?
So in the second one, the Onion King has accidentally he's found a Necronomicon, I think it's called.
This is so bad. I love it.
Matt, why are you laughing?
No reason.
This is serious.
This is the story of our favourite game.
So he's accidentally he tried to cook something out of this the Necronomicon, and he's accidentally summoned the unbread.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna buy this game.
Who isn't after that?
It's got a zombie theme, so
just noticed. Oh, fantastic.
And the good thing about it is that they mention this story at the beginning of the thing, and it's barely even referenced after that. Every so often you have to go back to the Onion King's castle and speak to him, and he just gives you more nonsense about the unbread, and you just leave again and go back to cooking.
Right, so essentially the story in this game is pretty much like Animus in Assassin's Creed. It's there for no reason at all.
Yes.
Okay. I thought that this is...
I mean, you're assuming that anybody paid attention to the story in Assassin's Creed. I think it was just you.
I would say it's probably more vital to the game.
Well, Animus in Assassin's Creed.
No, the unbread.
Okay, yes.
The story in both Overcooked games.
Also, Overcooked 2 has Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Well, no, the first Overcooked is Kevin.
Oh, sorry, yes, Overcooked has Kevin.
I'm sure Assassin's Creed got Kevins as well.
What?
What's a Kevin in the Overcooked then?
Is there a character called Kevin in Assassin's Creed? I suppose there must be by now. There's been
so many Kevins.
So many of them. But no, in Overcooked, Kevin is the dog.
Yep.
Send us your Assassin's Creed Kevin screenshots, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Please do.
So, can we just assume that we're not cooking dogs in this game?
No, it's the Onion King's dog.
It's the Onion King's dog, but I think Kevin's the true hero.
Yeah.
The Onion King just keeps making a mess of everything.
Oh, okay.
And Kevin's catchphrase is bark. And he speaks a lot of sense, that Kevin.
Yeah.
But so in Overcooked 2, there's it's essentially the same game, let's be honest. The big thing about Overcooked 1, and the thing that people were like asking for, was that there wasn't any online multiplayer. It was all couch co-op stuff. So in Overcooked 2, they have added that in. So you do have like online matchmaking and stuff like that, but you can just team up with your pals and sit and play like you were all playing on the same couch, like you did in Overcooked. Some of the recipes are a wee bit more complicated, so like they seem to have put a big thing. Like sushi seems to be
a
big part of Overcooked 2. There's so much sushi going on.
Yeah.
And there are a few more steps to like cooking things like sushi. So like you have to. They've added in blenders into the game, so you have to like blend things up and then go and steam them and then do these. Because I think in Overcooked, if I remember rightly, most of the recipes only had one sort of cooking step, and that was it. So there's like more things that you have to keep track of in this, and if you don't stay on top of it, that's when things just start going mental and the kitchen burns down. Just like in the first Overcooked. Yeah. Great fun.
You do have a lot more different devices that are heating things up, so it can get a bit crazy.
It's still got the same absolutely terribly designed kitchens, as Pawel would put it. The other like main thing that they've added in is you can throw raw ingredients around now, which you couldn't do in Overcooked. So you can and it's actually an important part in some of these badly designed kitchens.
Yeah, you could only drop them in the first one, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could just drop them on the floor.
Them from one side of the kitchen to the other.
Yep, and you can hit people in the head with them and accidentally knock them off the side of the level in some cases, which I did in an online versus mode. I kept on throwing tomatoes at somebody and knocking them off the edge of the level. Because that's how I play.
Yeah.
I also kept stealing their cheese. They weren't very happy about it.
Just the one that rage quit.
Yes, the person that rage quit, aye. But it's a versus mode, you're going to expect this kind of stuff.
Sorry, so it's a versus
Friendly
mode,
rivalry.
but you're cooking together?
So it's a versus mode in which you are, it's 2 against 2.
In the same kitchen?
And in some cases, well, the kitchens are kind of designed strange. So in some of the versus levels, you can't access the other person's kitchen, but there is generally a shared area in the middle where you can put stuff down, or you can chop things or something like that. So if somebody starts chopping something in this sort of shared part of the level, you can just stand in front of the chopping board and pick it up before they get a chance to and walk away with it. It's like, oh, thanks for preparing that tomato for me, I needed that.
Oh my god.
Also, if somebody's stupid enough to put down a prepared meal on that shared thing, you can just take it and serve it on your side.
So both teams are, I don't know, asked to cook the same stuff, and
No, they have different orders
Okay.
at the top of the screen, but you generally have several orders at once, so you can serve them in whatever order you like. I don't recommend
that's a
doing this in
really
this.
crappy restaurant you work in.
Thanks.
Throwing stuff around and serving dishes in any order.
Don't worry too much about hygiene in this game, because a lot of the ingredients end up on the floor.
Luckily, what happens is if you throw like slices of tomato across a room, they somehow stay together. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you can throw rice,
Yeah,
and it just stays in a ball.
Must be
Warms up.
very
Dry rice.
sticky. Nice.
That's great.
It does sound fun.
So now, what you were saying about the level design again, some of it is absolutely fiendish. Some of this level design, you can completely ruin a game by not being in the right place when the level starts to move around, because that's what happens. It happened in the first Overcooked as well, but it seems to be a bigger thing in Overcooked 2, where they've basically said, like, they've made levels where something will move, and if you don't have at least one person on one side of the kitchen, you have completely cut off access to that part, because then that person, you should have somebody up there, for example, to start throwing ingredients from certain boxes, or to watch frying pans or stuff like that before the thing burns down. If you all get stuck on one side of the level, that's it, it's done. You're not going to do very well.
So what do you mean is like furniture gets moved, or...
Yeah, I mean, there's several different...
It can do, yeah.
So the story mode is like, it's the same as in Overcooked 1, where like they had the sort of themed worlds. So like in Overcooked 2, the very first one is all sort of sushi based. But there's parts where like you're up in a hot air balloon, for example, and things start sliding around up there, or there's like a world later on where it's a sort of like mage's castle, and there's portals that you can go through, the stairs start moving and drifting about the level, all that kind of thing. So like, yeah, you have to sort of you have to be ready for these things. But there's like they're fun things that they've added in, and they haven't like made the game ridiculously difficult or anything like that. It's still, the emphasis is just on having a laugh, and you can take it as seriously as you want, and some of the people I play with do.
You don't need to 3-star every level. You can you can progress.
Yes.
Generally with a minimal amount of ability and effort. So yeah.
There are levels that you unlock as well. I don't know if you...
levels.
So, yeah, the Kevin levels. So Kevin has his own levels, and these are definitely like challenge levels. So they're a bit harder than the ones that you've played in that world, for example. I think there's 8 of them in total. 8 Kevin levels. Wow. But you unlock those, and this is just for anybody that doesn't know this, you unlock those by doing the orders in the order they come up on the screen, and not just serving things as they're ready.
Yeah, we managed to unlock one of those already. I haven't tried it though, so I was just playing with myself and my girlfriend. So
Kevin levels.
You have to get it, Pawel. We'll get all.
Yeah,
I'll get it. I want to play it with you guys.
All 4 of us and can stream it maybe.
Oh yeah, we should definitely stream it, because we have our own Twitch now.
Yep, no more riding on the back of Chris, leeching off his popularity.
There's not much popularity there to leech off, let's be honest.
How many followers do we have at the moment?
Oh, what, the first player token one?
Oh yeah,
me.
Alright, that's good. At least there's something.
But I mean, we've only streamed one thing in it, and it was a board game. But we'll give the details of that at the end of the show. So yeah, Overcooked 2, but we thought we would get that one in first. It's a fun one.
It's great.
So it's Game of the Year.
It's mostly re-released or released for the purpose of multiplayer. Yeah, nothing changes.
Essentially, yes. Right. I think if I remember correctly, when the first Overcooked came out, everybody started demanding online multiplayer to be patched into it or whatever, and I think the developers just kind of went, well, rather than do that, we'll just make another game.
I suppose that makes sense, but so hopefully that works fine, as in lobby wise and disconnections.
Problems. There were some minor issues when the first sort of couple of days of release, but they fixed that. Yeah. So we've not had any problems at all with the matchmaking system or anything. Cool. And yeah, it's just more Overcooked, and what can you say about it? It's just great fun.
I'll have to give it a go. We should probably play it over the weekend.
It's a great bunch of lads.
Yeah, why not?
Lads.
Are you not role playing this weekend?
No. Paulina is actually working.
Are you not pretending to be a cyberpunk?
I don't have to pretend.
But you are a cyberpunk.
I'm IT. I'm already cyber, and I'm an immigrant. So
well, it sounds like you're a pretty terrible cyberpunk.
They're all terrible.
Considering what goes on at your work, the stories you tell us.
Well, it's still keeping together, so it's fine.
You need to jack yourself into the mainframe, Pawel. That's what the problem is.
Or you've never jacked in.
I'm looking forward to that.
Get your cyber deck out.
Oof. Oh, just keep talking like that, man. It's like,
all right, whoa. Right, this is getting a bit much.
This is a family podcast. Fuck's sake.
Some good cyberpunk chat here. I really enjoyed it for a moment.
Okay, well, that's Overcooked 2. by Ghost Town Games and Team 17. It is on PlayStation 4, it's on Windows, on Xbox One, and it is on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep. No crossplay though.
What?
Not with Sony.
Oh,
Sony.
we don't want your dirty Nintendos touching us.
I will say before we move on to something else, there is a level in the first world. I think it's level 6, where you're in a hot air balloon.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it for you, but just play that level because it is hilarious what happens in it.
Great fun. I think we stopped even trying later on because we were so amazed by it.
Dazed and confused about what just happened. Like, what is going on now? Okay, so let's move on then. Pawel, you're going to tell us about
Hello.
Prey.
Yes, let's talk about Prey, shall we? Prey with an
Prey.
E.
It's a religious game.
No. Prey is a game about preying on aliens, I suppose, or humans. And it's confusing. The title is confusing because the history of this franchise is confusing. Prey is not a sequel to the original Prey.
What?
And is not a remake of the original Prey. Even though, technically speaking,
I kind of knew that, really.
it's sort of still the same intellectual property.
I was just pretending to be outraged there for comic effect.
You're a troll, man. You're just like, even when you're not like offended by something or outraged, you still go full blast on it.
The first Prey had the... Have you played the first one at all?
No, you seem educated enough. Just take the button.
I was going to say, it was an odd game. It had a Native American main character, and it sort of took place somewhere in America. It featured, at one point, Don't Fear the Reaper getting played on a radio while all hell was breaking loose. That was a big part of the game, I recall, very early on.
Okay.
And then it had a lot of gravity type puzzly stuff. There was this whole thing at the time for games which did gravity switching, so you were like walking on the walls in like the room, so the room was effectively tilted over.
Okay.
There were quite a few games, like Ratchet and Clank did that as well, and I think there were a few other games as well. So that was also a big part of it. Does any of that carry over into the new one?
Yeah. Not that I know of. No, I don't think so. Prey, the new Prey, the Prey released in 2017, made by Arcane Studios, but published by Bethesda. That's supposed to be a spiritual successor to System Shock, which probably describes it slightly better. Yeah, there's a few spiritual successors to that, isn't there?
Well, Bioshock, primarily.
Well, yeah. And there is a little bit of a vibe of Bioshock in Prey. Not much, but you can sort of see it in some of the aesthetics and I suppose in quite a lot of gameplay as well.
Does it have tape recorders to listen to?
Audio
logs.
All games have audio logs nowadays. Come on, it's just this is the only way you can tell any sort of story in first-person shooters. So yes, sorry. So going back, Prey is a first-person shooter survival horror game. And there's plenty of them nowadays, I suppose. I don't really play first-person shooters, but if I do, they're going to be survival horrors because you need some sort of theme there, because otherwise...
Because you've got standards, Pawel.
A first-person shooter is like the lowest you can go. You know, there's nothing worse in video gaming than first-person shooters. You might as well just not play games. But if you do, then, have some horror going on about, and maybe some stealth elements, crafting. Yeah,
I think there are people out there that might disagree with you.
No, surely not.
I think there'd be a large section of the gaming community.
Am I just alienating our most loyal fans?
We'll just say you've given a very firm opinion there.
Because we're obviously like an authority when it comes to first-person shooters.
Careful. You gotta be careful when you say that. We've been told off for saying we're an authority on anything.
I'm so sorry. It's not. Yes, I'll behave. So yes, the first person shooter elements in Prey are, I suppose you should really say, fairly sort of basic. It's not really a shooter that you would expect with all its intricacies and tiny little differences between your guns, which is what is probably important when you play Call of Duty or other such stuff. Prey is essentially a science fiction game. It's very difficult to tell anything about the story without going into spoiler territory, because your one of your biggest twists comes, half an hour into the game, and you can actually see this twist. Even there was a demo released for this game like half a year ago or more, and even in the demo you could already reach this twist. So maybe I'm just gonna go ahead and spoil it, because it's half an hour. So
Spoiler klaxon.
Thank you. So you actually don't play in your main character's whatever flat. You actually are on a space station, and the experiments you think you're doing, you're actually being experimented on. I'm not sure how deep that story will go.
Are these endgame spoilers or no?
No, this is like
I was
the
gonna
first
say,
half an
this
hour.
isn't something you find out at the end of the game.
No, this is something
No,
you
because
even we would draw the line there on spoilers.
that would imply that Pawel's reviewing a game that he's actually finished.
I do finish games occasionally.
Dave, that is a very good point.
Man, I had like 3 weeks to play games, and I've only managed to start a few.
You played the first 30 minutes of like 20.
Pavel,
Oh, pretty much.
you've had longer than that.
Actually, that's a good point, yes. But I've also started more games than just 20.
So it's a bit of a Portal-y twist then. Is that right? Sort of-ish,
I suppose, yeah.
But without the AI. Maybe.
No, instead of like proper clinical, let's test things, and to be fair, nothing can really beat Portal in that. This is more sort of... when it's not Bioshock, it tends to have slightly, I don't know, maybe Dead Space elements in it, as far as the themes go, because there's aliens on the station.
Yeah.
It's definitely horror, and there's a lot of jump scares. This game seems to be... or at least the initial enemies that you encounter are all about jump scares, because you fight what's called mimics, which are enemies that at first look like just about
Treasure chests.
Yes, or coffee mugs, or I don't know, computer screens, or pots with plants in them.
Mimics are always treasure chests, Pavel.
I think this is
everybody
where,
knows this.
This must be where the name comes from.
Not in NetHack. Mimics played a big part in NetHack, as Pavel will maybe remember from his...
I only
His
remember
extensive
newts in that game. There were newts, and there was something that kept following me, and it took me 3 playthroughs to realize it's actually my pet. But yeah, I fully agree. Mimics are chests, and in this game, if you see a chest, it's going to be a mimic. But I've not seen.
Are these
any
space chests though?
There's space furniture of all sorts of. Essentially, you walk into a room, you see anything. You can see a bucket with a mop in a toilet, and you're gonna think, yeah, even if it stands where a bucket with a mop would stand in a toilet, you're still gonna sort of approach it carefully, because it might just shapeshift into a mimic and attack you. So those jump scares are everywhere in this game.
I see.
So your enemies will essentially. You're gonna get attacked either by something that just changed shape in front of you, or somewhere, behind you. It's just gonna jump on you, and then it's gonna run away and change another shape. So another shape and hide.
Are they always in the same place?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
No.
It really annoyed me about Dead Space.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a good point. When they... Well, this is my first playthrough, but some of the stages I've tried 2 or 3 times, and the initial location of the enemy seemed to be always in the same place. Having said that, this game seems to be quite modular, with a lot of locations, from what I understand, changing depending on what decisions you take, or where you go first, where you go second, and more importantly, your initial, unless you're really good at it, which I'm not, your initial encounter with any mimic doesn't really just, end there. The mimic will probably try and attack you and then hide. And it's going to hide just about anywhere and become who knows what. And it's really difficult to tell it apart, because the station is cluttered with this sort of ornate the style of the level design reminds me of BioShock, but in space. So it's very sort of busy with content and with clutter scattered around the floors, and it's all very pretty and dark and slightly devastated, and then something jumps out at you. So yeah, I should probably mention that the first weapon you get is a wrench, which is important in games like this. And there's, I think, unless this is going to change, a surprisingly large amount of melee in this game, as in just whacking things with your wrench rather than shooting. Because the first gun you get is a glue cannon, which you use to shoot glue. Which is this substance that sort of expands and creates obstacles for aliens or yourself, but also captures your enemies for some time. So and decreases their defenses as well. So the idea here is that if you shoot your glue cannon at this fast-moving spider-like mimic enemy, it sort of freezes it in place, and you can just approach and whack it with your wrench. This is the basics, the basic sort of anatomy of your fight in this game, at least early on. But glue cannon will also help you in, building stairs to a platform that you cannot reach otherwise. This is something that actually becomes a semi-permanent part of your level as you go through and use your ammunition to shoot your glue cannon.
Or like if you need to put like cork floor tiles down.
Yes, I've not had to yet, but yes. Other than that, because
Dave,
again,
I like how you draw from your own experiences when you're talking about games.
Because this is a BioShock like game, you're gonna have some sort of special powers as well.
Oh, yes.
I've actually not got there yet. You get all sorts of like implant things into your body that obviously make your character better at various things. You can hack into your automated turrets and move them around. You can, I suppose, repair various sections of the station, and this will have various consequences. There's crafting element which I've not fully explored yet, so there seems to be quite a lot to do in this game, and I understand there is at least 3 main branching storylines ending in multiple different endings, quite a lot of twists along the way. So even though the story doesn't seem very, I'm going to say, deep in terms of narration, there is definitely it's interesting enough, but mostly because of the atmosphere it brings with it. But your decisions are supposed to impact your game all along the way until the very end. Which might be quite interesting. You I think you'll be able. I've not got there yet, but you'll be able to even leave the station at some point, I suppose, and just drift through space to other sections and so forth. So I've not really played that much of it yet, but
How much is not that much?
just a couple of hours. I've been waiting for a good space, sci-fi horror game since Dead Space 2, essentially, because Dead Space 3 was just not what I needed. This is not third-person horror survival, but it's gonna have to do. So yeah.
Are you waiting for the perfect game, Pawel? Because it's not coming.
There is perfect games out there.
Game for you.
It's just something you have to accept that, like, as a video game player, you're not going to find the perfect game unless you make it yourself.
This is so depressing, man. I mean, obviously, I play RPGs mostly, which means I do make my own games.
Yeah, but I'm talking about video games.
So video games is always already a second choice.
I have said that, but Overcooked 2 is the perfect game. So,
well,
Pawel Quest
it's probably got less.
Pawel Quest does exist.
What?
It is a game. It's on Steam. Pawel Quest.
Oh yes, there was something about it. Yeah, that's right.
It's not as good as Mage Quest.
I need to have a look at it.
A couple of our favourite games.
I think you should buy Pawel Quest and review it for us.
Should get it for free.
Let us know.
Is that a hint, Pawel? I think it's about like £1 or something, Pawel Quest.
I'm not paying money for my quest, man. I'm supposed to be paid for quests and given experience and stuff.
Well, maybe that'll
You got
happen.
to spend money to make money, Pawel.
It's like buying a membership.
Or something. Right, anyway, sorry. So I'm quite enjoying it so far, I must say. It's good fun. Even if it's not Dead Space, but, it's gonna...
So, Prey, not as good as Dead Space. That's Pawel's review.
Because it's first person,
I thought Dead Space was rubbish, though, so I mean...
But only because you've learned now that I liked it.
No, that's not true.
That must be the sole reason.
Ask anyone who knows me. I never even finished Dead Space. That's how much I disliked it.
You guys, I played through Dead Space 1 and 2.
Maybe
and I
Dead
didn't
Space
enjoy
2 is
your
better.
experience that much.
Dead Space 2 is essentially just the continuation of Dead Space 1.
Anyway.
I remember watching you playing Dead Space, and you seem to be well into it.
It's a weird, it's a compelling game in some ways, but it's also just
Yeah.
like a real slog.
Yeah, that was the same.
Well, that's
And all
how
the
I
kin-
felt about Alien Isolation.
Well, I mean, I'd agree with you. I
was
still
just a
love
slog.
Alien Isolation. It should have been at least half the length it was. They could have cut it off at a point, and then they just went and got stupid with it.
I did get up to a point, sort of like, I mean, I don't know, man. I played a good chunk of that game. Felt like how long is this going to go on for? But there was just points in it. I was like, is this going to be the entire game, just sneaking about this space station forever? Like, trying to get
You've
from one
answered your own question there.
Yeah, I mean, but that was it. It was just.
I'm sure this is what's essentially written on the box of this game.
Don't get me wrong.
This
Like
is
the game was like.
description of the game.
Yeah, the game was like dripping with theme, and like it really did get you absorbed in it when you were playing.
yeah.
You felt absolutely fucking terrified when that alien dropped in front of you and ate your face. But at the same time,
Gets
it's
old
just-
after a while.
yeah, it's just this like, I'm just gonna have to keep crawling because this alien's running about in the vents.
So in here, I can just say that in Prey there is much more variety to occupy yourself in terms of what you actually do, rather than just hiding or sneaking through. There's a lot of stuff to do. So in that respect, the game feels quite full, quite entertaining.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So that's Prey. That's Arcane Studios and Bethesda published that one. That came out on the 5th of May 2017.
I'm only playing it now because
See, I was going to make a comment when you said that you were waiting, but I decided to make a different comment. But you said you were waiting for a game to come out.
no, I picked it.
And you waited so long that you started playing a game that came out a year and a half ago.
I know, I've missed this. I think because I originally got the demo and it barely worked on my PC, and I sort of got stuck with this idea that I would eventually buy it for the PC, and then I've realised I think it was free at some point on PS4 or something. I can't
Was it?
remember. Possibly. Or I might just be imagining things now. But I do have it, which means
I'll
I
need to
have
look into
acquired
that.
it somehow.
Okay, right. So that's on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One.
Play it.
Right, Dave. I know you've not got a lot to talk about this week.
No.
But you want to tell
We're
us
not
about
judging you
your.
or anything.
You decided to take up becoming a full-time Fortnite player or something.
Well, in my holidays, I've been spending most of my time on my newly acquired PlayStation 4, which I'm not super impressed by, to be fair. But that's a story for another day, I imagine. So I've been playing a lot.
No. Let's
Can I?
let's look into this.
Dave, do you primarily do things to not enjoy them?
You've got him there, Pawel.
Pawel's fighting back.
No, there's a difference between not enjoying a lot of things and doing things to not enjoy them.
That's very philosophical, yeah.
No, I've been plugging away at God of War. I've still not finished it because I took a break. But I will say one thing about God of War: it's a good game. I can see 10 out of 10, whatever. But you open a lot of freaking chests in that game. I swear, most of 50% of your time is like, there's a chest over there. How do I get to it so I can open it to get the thing that's in this chest, which I won't even care about. But it's like I have to get it.
You don't like chests.
Completionism. I'm not joking. There are too many chests in this game. Apart from that, it's great.
Are any of them mimics?
No, not. Oh well. Very occasionally, you'll go to open a chest and a guy will jump out of it, but that is
That's
very
not
rare.
mimic.
Yeah, not
It's
quite
a
the same.
variation of Mimic.
Yeah, and I've been playing Detroit mostly so that I can talk about that at a future point and tell you why everything Pawel said about it was wrong. But
I'm gonna play it some more just to have a
he hasn't even finished it.
counter-opinion.
I've finished it. Pawel's
I couldn't stomach it after a while. I'm like, oh my god, I wanted it to be good, and I'm just.
It does get worse the more you play it.
See, that's my point. I just throw it out because it gets bad, whereas you like just keep playing it even though it gets
but
worse.
it was worth playing. It's worth finishing. But that's a property of all of Quantic Dream's games. Is they start out very strongly, and you're like, oh, this is promising. And the longer you play it, it starts to to varying extents, fall apart.
Yeah, I think.
And Detroit is a little bit like that as well, but it does better than any of the others. But yeah, like Chris was implying, I do spend most of my time now playing Fortnite. Because I am officially
because there's less chests.
I'm down with the kids. Less chests. You've not played Fortnite, have you?
No.
Fortnite's all about chests.
Okay.
That's where you get your weapons and various other bits and pieces from. So
I think I've read an article somewhere about parents nowadays hiring tutors for their kids to teach them how to play Fortnite. So that
I'm not
might
sure if
be a
it's
new
parents, but you can get people
business
to
plan.
You can get people to coach you. Oh, you're suggesting I coach people on how to
I
play
was just
Fortnite?
saying, yeah.
Because I'm so good at it now.
I'm not going to say anything.
Oh,
I've played Fortnite with Dave. I'm not saying a word.
okay. So basically,
You're implying something.
We played duos, the two of us together. Was it last night or
Yeah, it
what,
was
the
last
night
night.
before?
I think we maybe killed one person in the
maybe.
15 games we played.
Yeah. Yeah.
Generally, I would be like, right, Dave, let's go over here, and then I would walk away for 2 minutes and realise I can't even see him on the minimap anymore. Because he's just standing in the same building going, which of these guns will I take?
Thing is, though, it's a really good game. I can see why it's so popular. I'm terrible at it, but I have a lot of fun playing it. But the whole battle royale thing, especially the solo battle royale, really works. It's generally really exciting, especially when it's probably not like that if you're good at it.
Yeah.
If you played thousands and thousands and thousands of games of Fortnite and you're like really good at it, then it's not going to be exciting anymore. It's the fact that I'm not very good at it is what makes it exciting, I think. Because I swear that
we have different impressions on what's exciting.
Oh no, it really is, because because you're not winning games all the time, and even like killing people is difficult for me. And when I got to just me and one other guy left, the first time that happened, so it was all new to me. And it was just me and him in this sort of ever-decreasing circle. The storm was tiny by this point, and he was like building all over the place. While I was doing that, my heart was like pounding so fast. My hands were physically shaking.
Okay.
Like I couldn't hold the controller properly because my hands were shaking
I've
so much.
experienced this sort of thing.
So I was like,
yeah,
I'm still alive, and I might kill this guy. I don't think I'm going to, but it's like really close, and it could happen, and it can happen because no matter how good someone is at this game, you can still, there's always the chance that you can just get the better of them. They might be on low health from fighting someone else, and you pop out round a corner with a shotgun and you win the game. And I have won like a few games. I would say only one of them did I win on my own sort of like ability, and all the others I kind of won by default.
like because others just killed themselves, or
that happened once. I've got a great video of me like sneaking around behind. I go up behind a tree. There's like some noise, and then it's like I win the game. It's like yes. But there's like times I've like run around a corner, shot a guy in the back, and then it's like, oh, I've won. It's like they didn't even know I was there. It was just like bad luck on their part.
As much as I dislike PvP and rarely play it, I remember playing World of Warcraft, the Battlefront thing, and I remember the same symptoms with the heart pounding and the sweaty shaking hands and stuff like this. It can be because I remember I used to work on night shifts and I used to get very sleepy, and Paulina would be like, just play a Battlefront once or twice, and it would just wake me up fully.
Yeah, I mean, because again, when you're rubbish at this game, you can play it like the film. where you're a bit more stealthy and you're not just running around as soon as you see someone. Because the people who are good at this make no attempt whatsoever to be stealthy.
Yeah. I was going to say that actually because
that's a bad idea. There's no need for it.
The first time that I played this game, and I had played Battlegrounds before, but I mean I'd only played like 3 or 4 games because it runs so badly on my PC. But the first time I played Fortnite Battle Royale, I remember like the first game I played, I was just sitting in a bathroom, terrified to move. Like, because I was just like, as soon as I move, somebody's going to kill me, because there are people that are so much better at these games than I am. As soon as somebody sees me, I'm dead. And just absolutely terrified. But now when I play the game, I'm just running about in the open, just like, I don't care. I'm so much more confident about how I play the game and stuff, because I know that if I get into a firefight, there's actually a better chance now that I can win it. Yeah,
and also sneaking about is not a particularly optimal strategy for this game. Like, I was like, I don't do this anymore, but one time I was, I've landed, I've got some equipment, I've got my shields up, I'm like, alright, let's go, and I'm like sneaking about, and I'm like, oh, there's a building over there, and I like sneaked into the building, there was a guy under the stairs, he shot me, and I died, and afterwards I was like, there's no need for me to go in that building. It was such a stupid thing to do. Don't go in the buildings. It's like why?
So what do you do when you
jump about on the top of a hill? Just run around and bunny hop everywhere. This is what the good players do. They don't care if anyone sees them or not. It doesn't matter. It's not important. It's like, because
so is it all dexterity and
because they'll just go and engage with anyone. They want people to
these
come.
These people
and
are so
them.
Good, Pavel, that they basically they'll jump around on top of a hill because they want somebody to shoot at them,
so
they know where they are.
They want you to give away where you are, so that you can.
Because as soon as a bullet goes anywhere near them, these people build so fast that they've got a tower up within like seconds.
Oh, I keep forgetting that you actually build stuff in this game.
Yeah, or they'll just come and get you.
Yeah.
Like, I was playing, there's a 50v50 mode which I played quite a lot just to get aiming practice, and I watched one person single-handedly beat 17 people at the end of the game, and we weren't all spread out, we were all in the same area. One guy beat 17 folk just by being really good at building. No one could get anywhere near him. He's just running around, he'd build, jump out, shoot somebody, build, like, it was amazing. But it's a fascinating game.
Yeah.
It really is. Anyway, yep.
So that's what you've been doing with your PlayStation?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you feel younger?
Do I feel younger? No. No, if anything, this game makes you feel old, because like there's all these children who are much better
than you.
Yeah. I mean, that's
fair enough.
I've always been terrible at these games, so it's not such a big deal for me.
I think you were right what you were saying the other night. I think duos mode is the hardest mode to win.
For some reason.
Yeah. I've won a load of solo games. I've won God knows how many squad game now, but I've only won a single duo game.
What's a duo game then?
Two.
Is it
Just
just
pairs.
So there's
basically.
so there's what?
I think there's just
5 or how many pairs of?
Well, 100. So
there's 100 people. So
100. Oh, yeah, so 50 teams of 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why. I think there's a lot of people who just play with a mate a lot.
Yeah.
And so they know.
Fair enough.
They're good at it.
Whereas I think it's a lot harder to find a full squad of 4 people that are all pretty solid at the game. We've all got varying levels of ability, I think, when we play. But I mean, I just play the game for fun. I'm not really that bothered about winning anymore, because it's not something I really care about anymore. Once you get those first few wins in, you stop caring about it. I think that's probably why the confidence has gone up a bit more, because I'm not. Because I was like you, Dave. I had that heart pounding, handshake, and sweating when I was getting close to being like to winning the game. And I just don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
It's all just like I'm just pissing about now. Just, I mean, the thing is, I tend to think the games that I win are the ones that I piss about the most in.
It does happen. It's strange. Sometimes you just do really well, as well, and sometimes you have just off days where you're just terrible. I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, it's my desktop background now.
Oh wow, you really committed then.
Yeah, because I've got this amazing video there was a challenge a couple of weeks ago of clay pigeon shooting, where there's this little thing scattered around the map that launch clay pigeons, and you have to try and shoot them. It's one of the weekly challenges, and there's like 7 of them to do.
Of course, because that's game as service now with the rocket event and all sorts of things.
Yeah, there's heaps of stuff like that, and it's good. It keeps interest up. So I happened to one time just find some guy who was quietly doing that, and I shot him in the head. Before that's my desktop background. There's a picture, because you can do replays and stuff. So it's a picture of me away off on a hill, and you shooting this guy in the head while he's quietly doing his clay pigeon shoot.
Oh my god!
So Pawel, there was another thing they did where you one of the emotes that you get now. Through the battle pass.
All those dances, isn't it?
Oh, you get the dances, but one of the things you can do now is actually hit a golf ball.
Yeah.
And they added a golf course into the north side of the map. They got rid of one of the farms a few updates ago and added a golf course. So it's a 9-hole golf course, and you can actually like play the 9-hole golf course in the middle of a game of Battle Royale. Just hit your golf ball up, run up to where it is, hit it, and then if you get it near the hole, it goes in. And then you move on to the next hole.
That's just it.
And
Because
it's just
people
there.
are
It's just
so
there
good
for people to like.
bored at it that.
But it was one of the one of the weekly quests was to get the ball on the green 3 times in one game or something like that, or 5 times I think
Yeah.
it was actually.
It was fun.
Aye, and it was just a fun thing to do. It was just like suddenly everybody's landing at the golf course. People aren't shooting each other because they're all just trying to play a game of golf. And it was silly and stupid, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? It was actually quite fun.
Well, I imagine that it's because of things like this that this game is such a phenomenon, or whatever you call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, there's always a lot of glitches and bugs in this game. Like, it seems anytime they update something, they break something else. But
Way coding works.
the actual, if you forgive them for all of that, the actual stuff that they keep adding at the game is fun, and it is quirky, and it does keep you interested, so... It celebrated its first birthday the other day there.
It's fine. So long as games like this don't push out solo games, I'm okay. I just need my single players
You don't
to still
have to
be
play
out
them, Pawel.
there. Yeah, I don't, but I just want there to still be single player games 10 years from now. Please.
There will be, don't worry. They're not going anywhere. It's just that they'll be in virtual reality.
That's okay then, I can buy that.
Okay, anyway, that's Fortnite. That's by Epic Games. I think we've talked about that enough. So we're going to move on. I'm going to attempt.
You did say you were going to have a lot to say about this one, Chris.
Well, yes, but I think the problem with it is that, because I'm going to talk about No Man's Sky. And the problem with No Man's Sky is that it's a game that came out 2 years ago, and we did talk about it on the podcast back then. And I only have a vague memory of what the game was like back then. I played, according to the save file that's there, I played 30 hours of it, and the last time I played it was actually in August 2016, according to the save file. So that's 2 years ago, pretty much exactly.
So the game must have changed quite drastically since.
It has. I mean, it's still essentially the same game. So in No Man's Sky, you are basically just put into a galaxy where you can move around, and there's various things going on in the story and stuff like that. And I think they've even changed a lot of the stuff that happens in the story, or they've added extra stuff in. The problem is that there's been updates over those 2 years that I know nothing about, so I don't know what No Man's Sky Next actually added in. So all I can really talk about is how it's changed over the 2 year period that I haven't played it.
Yeah,
and one of the big things about it, so when No Man's Sky came out, so I'm sure you remember that there was a load of hype around this game. Everybody was going to talk about, this is the space exploration game we've all been looking for. And it did not live up to the sort of high standard that it seemed to have set for itself. And I think this was a PR problem. I think this was just like,
it's overhyped.
Advertising, and they because they didn't let too many secrets out before the game was released, and then when it was released, people had kind of got a sort of certain level of expectation that wasn't met. So one of the big things about it was that, yes, people were flying about in the same galaxy, and they were naming planets, and they were naming the trees and the animals, and they were discovering all this stuff, and everything was getting randomly generated so that the animals all look different in some way. The behaviour was different. The trees, the rocks, everything looked different. The planets were all different in some manner. But it's you couldn't actually see any of the other people that were going about. And the galaxy was that big that the chances of you actually bumping into somebody on the same planet were pretty much zero.
And I think somebody bumped at somebody eventually and couldn't see them.
And they couldn't see them.
Yeah.
But the thing is that once the game was released, I don't think the developers kind of hid that anyway. They didn't try and hide the fact that that's the way the game is. So the big thing that No Man's Sky Next has done is that it's added in multiplayer, so that you can go into a game and you can have up to 4 people, including yourself, in it. And you're playing in the same galaxy as everybody else. It's not like... It's almost like it just... These 3 other people are the people that you can see. So you can jump into the same game with your mates, and you can go to all the... It'll start you off in the same place. You can go to the same planets, you can walk about and you can see each other. And eventually, when you get to a space station, you can change your appearance and do various stuff like that. But they've changed the way that a lot of the... Because this game is essentially a space exploration and a crafting game, and you get spaceships that you can buy and upgrade by just speaking to various aliens who have spaceships. Every alien in a spaceship wants to sell their spaceship. I don't understand. Every time you meet an alien anywhere with a spaceship, they're like, "You want to buy this?" But so yeah, you can upgrade it, and it is just one of these sort of like totally endless games. There is a story in it, Pawel, that you can play through to the end. I haven't, but and like I say, I mean, I can't really remember correctly, but I think they've added another story in that sort of goes alongside the sort of main story.
There was something about Sentinels or Guardians or
Sentinels and stuff like that, yeah. And there's the things like you can follow the Atlas path, which is all these big, like, mysterious space stations that just appear in sort of systems, and you get sent to the next one, and there are various things you have to do in order to, I suppose, please the Atlas, and it's just like a giant red eye thing, which it's actually at the front of the No Man's Sky box. But there's another story going on with a traveller called Artemis, I believe. Now, I don't know if this story was in the game originally. I don't think it was, but don't quote me on that, because I don't remember any of this. And it's an alien called Artemis, and there's some mystery around where he is in the galaxy. He keeps contacting you and being like, and it sounds like he's scared, he's alone, he doesn't know what's going on, and there's a bit of a weird thing happens where he gives you some star charts. You have to go and speak to some aliens on a space station, ask them where this place is, and they tell you it doesn't exist. But it did exist at one point, or it could exist in the future, or something like that. There's weird, just like sci-fi stuff going on there, and I'm actually quite enjoying that Artemis story. Getting sent to do various things, you end up speaking to some other people who are also travellers, finding that you're a traveller yourself, and that you're all sort of linked in some way. So yeah, I am quite enjoying that. But I mean, the main part of the gameplay in No Man's Sky is just landing on planets and digging shit up and then crafting stuff.
Was there base building?
There's base building now. There wasn't originally.
Oh, okay.
And so there is now a base building series of quests as well, where like you build various rooms, build a base, build various rooms, and you can get aliens to come and live in your base. Not just random aliens, it's like they're specific people. You get somebody who's a farmer who can help you to grow plants that will give you resources. You'll get a scientist who will research blueprints for you, that kind of thing.
So does it mean you return there? Because this is what gets me a bit confused. I always thought that this game was essentially just endless exploration. You never go back to the same place, twice. So,
this is another thing that's changed, is that they've added teleporters into the game. Mm-hmm. So because it would be pointless for you to build a base and then not be able to go back to it. So what they've done is they've added teleporters where you can go to any space station that you've been to. That if you've discovered a space station, you can use the teleporter inside the space station to go to any other space station. But you can also go to your own base. And the important thing about this is that when you do go somewhere, it takes your ship with you.
Fair enough.
Because you're on foot when you use these teleporters.
Okay.
So you can take your ship with you. So you can just like teleport about the galaxy. I've got sort of weird mixed feelings about that, because it almost feels like I no longer have to use my warp drive unless I go somewhere that I've never been before. Yeah. So I can now just punt about the galaxy, not using any of the fuel on my warp drive, because my ship just comes with me anyway, just by using teleporters, which are free to use. So it doesn't.
Does it make the galaxy feel a bit smaller?
It does. It does. Because now because I remember when I first played No Man's Sky, anytime I had to go to a space station, it was always, right, get in my ship, take off, go and find the space station. I might get attacked by pirates on the way there, but I don't have to do that anymore, because I've built a teleporter in my own base. Mm-hmm. So I can just go to my base, teleport to the space station, teleport back again.
Yeah, it's a bit like when they added fast travel in Oblivion. Because in Morrowind there wasn't just ubiquitous fast travel.
Oh yeah, you had to use the big,
certainly to begin with. You had
the
to
big
use the
creature
Silk
things.
Striders.
The Silk Striders, that's it.
Or you had to freaking walk to people. There were no horses, which was a bit tough. So a big part of the game was like, if you went to walk somewhere, it was a bit of a commitment in Morrowind. If you were like, right, I'm going to go to Balmora or wherever, you had to make sure you were really wanted to go there and you were done with whatever you were doing wherever you were, because it was a good like half an hour to get back again.
Oh, nice.
I mean, the travel times in No Man's Sky aren't that long.
Yeah.
Generally, if you're in a space, if you're in a system and you're on a planet somewhere, I don't think I've ever had a travel time that's been longer than about 1.5 to 2 minutes, something like that, to get to the space station. Warping another system involves loading times, basically, so you do just get a warp screen while the game loads where you're going next. And that can take
must be new as well. I remember that one of the main
two.
features advertised in this game was that there's no loading screens, and wherever you go, you just
that's a lie, though. That warp screen's a loading screen, Pavel. It's the same when you use the teleporter. There's no chance in hell that it would make you sit and watch a screen but it's just going for 2 minutes. Like, that's a loading screen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They just hide them now. Like, games still have to load, so obviously.
Fair enough.
But the game still, I mean, I still get amazed by being in space in that game and just looking around in the planets, because the way that they've made the game, it's all really distorted in terms of the distances. The planets are all so bloody close to each other that it's just weird. But it looks amazing. So, like, if you're sitting on a planet's surface, you can look up into the sky and see some giant ringed planet, like, in the sky there in front of you. But you know, if you get in your ship and just, like, punt towards that and hit the hyperdrive or hyperthrust or whatever they're called, then you're going to be there in 30 seconds. So, like, but this is a game, like, design decision, and I think it's a good one, actually, because you've got stuff like what's the other space exploration game? I've completely forgotten. The one on the PC.
There's been a few of them.
Like Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous, yes. So in Elite Dangerous, they were much more realistic about the distances between the planets and stuff like that. It could take you a while to get from one place to another. Whereas in this, they've just went, nah.
Well, it's much more arcadey.
Yeah, it is a bit more arcadey, yeah. But
Is
like
it better now?
I think it's better.
Outside of multiplayer, is it better?
I have a memory of playing the original No Man's Sky and there being, like, massive cylindrical blocks of resources just floating in the air and stuff like that, like, you had to basically destroy in order to get enough fuel just to take off. And it took ages to just, like, gather all this stuff together. I just remember, like, I feel like the game is less of a slog.
Okay.
People might disagree with me on that, because I could be thinking about this all wrong from my memory. But
no, I mean, I remember playing through the early stages of No Man's Sky, and it seemed to be that your first objective was to just spend ages on a planet getting resources and then fixing up a ship, and then from what I could see, the objective for the rest of the game was just to increase your inventory space.
That's still essentially true, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that they've made it, because you've got all the base building stuff, and they have changed the way, like, a lot of the resources, I don't think they exist anymore. Some of them, like, I think, if I remember right, I think thallium was the thing you needed for your fuel, for your launch thrusters to take off. Like, that doesn't exist anymore, as far as I can see. So you can, like, fuel it with uranium, and you can make you can craft something that you can fuel up your ship with, but it doesn't. The resources to get that aren't that hard to find. They're everywhere. I think they have made those sort of things easier, but there does seem to be, like, a lot more stuff that you can craft in it, which is interesting. I do like the fact that they seem. I don't know if this was in the original. I don't think it was, but you do have, like, a cargo space now in your backpack, which you can upgrade that instead of your normal spaces in your backpack. Which each space in the cargo space of your backpack can hold twice as much of one type of resource, which is very useful because you do use a lot of the same resources over and over again. Particularly things like carbon. Like magnetized ferrite, for example, was one thing that you need to power your mining laser, and you use that a lot. So yeah, it does make it does make things a bit easier for you in terms of your inventory management.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I haven't played it, but I got the impression that the problem with it, perhaps, when it initially came out, was that when it did come out by that time, there were a lot of survival crafting games around, especially on the PC.
Yeah.
And it just didn't compare very favourably to them in terms of the gameplay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You know, there's so many to choose from, and they just had more. It's not just that there was more you could do in those games, but also they were implemented better as well, just like very basic things, which seemed to, whereas No Man's Sky seemed to come across as being a bit rudimentary and rough even, so it looked better than a lot of these games, but the actual game itself was sort of failing on two fronts, sort of just the basic implementation of simple things. Also, there wasn't really a lot you could do.
See, I'm trying to think of how that's changed, and again, like my memory's kind of failing me a bit, but I do remember. See, now that you've mentioned that, I do remember thinking to myself back then that, yeah, this is nothing compared to something like 7 Days to Die.
So 7 Days to Die game, you would say, is on top of this particular genre, let's say, of...
I think the crafting in 7 Days to Die is it's some of the best in terms of like base building and stuff like that I've seen.
Okay.
Even though the game is glitchy and buggy and
Yeah.
still it's been in alpha for about 5 years now or something, but but I still think that like the actual base building and that and the crafting and stuff, and it's something that they've improved on and tweaked over the years. I still think that that's one of my favourites. There's just it's so much more customizable compared to a lot of other games I've played.
Right.
Mainly because it's block based rather than, you know, you have to build here's a wooden floor that you build and wooden walls and this is the only options you have. Whereas in 7 Days to Die it's small blocks, so you can really customise how your base looks and how you defend it and all that sort of stuff.
But also it just gives you a lot of things that you can do.
Yeah.
You know, it's games like Minecraft, say, or 7 Days to Die, or what was the one we were playing for a while? The Terraria style one. I forget the name of it now. Starbound, yeah. Starbound. So all of these games have a common theme in that there are a lot of things you can occupy yourself with, and these change as you go across the game. So you can do a bit of something, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to just go and do something else for a while. I've had enough of killing monsters.
Yep.
I'm going to go and plant a garden. This is going to be my new thing. I'm going to be a gardener for a while. So there's different ways you can approach the game as well. So different people will get different things out of it, and different people will do different stuff when they play these games.
Well, that's a good point actually, because I think No Man's and the way No Man's Sky is now, there is more to do.
Yeah.
You can pick and choose what you want to do now. Like I say, they've got the Atlas thing that you can go and do. They've got the Artemis story you can go and do. You can build a base. You now have, and I don't know when they added this in, I don't know if this is a feature of Next or not, but I mean, they call it No Man's Sky Next. It's just a patch update thing, basically, and quite a major one. But it's not like it's a new game. You're not having to buy anything new or anything like that. But one of the things that is in the game now that's changed from when I first played it is that you can have up to 6 ships. And when you find ships now, they are completely wrecked, and you have to fix them, and the cargo space is wrecked. So you have to, in order to actually unlock the cargo space, essentially, you have to go and dig up a lot of resources and refine things, and maybe go and buy stuff from aliens, just to fix these things up. So I've now, so at the moment, I've put another 30 hours into the game since the next thing came out. So that's the same as I put in the first time I played the game.
Alright, that's plenty.
And I'm getting more enjoyment out of it, I think. Because I don't feel like I'm running out of steam yet, whereas I did back then. And I've got 4 ships, 2 of which are actually fully functioning. So the one that you start with, which is a little bit broken when you start the game, you have to fix the launch thrusters and stuff when you start the game. But the second one I found was just a wrecked ship on a planet, and it was completely ruined. And I must have spent a good 8 or 9 hours just fixing that ship. And it's a crappy little thing. It's good for what it is. It's a tiny explorer ship, but it's very good at, it's got really good warp drive and stuff like that. But I found another 2 ships that are completely wrecked. And at any point, I could bring those ships in. You can summon any ship that you have in your thing, basically in your whatever. You can summon any of them to you at any point and get in it and fly away, as long as it's working. So like the other two ships I've got, the actual like the launch thrusters and stuff work on them. I fixed those enough, but the cargo space is all knackered, so it's not good for me to use them. But they're probably better ships than the one I've got. It's just that it's a time investment to do it, but at least it's a project that I can work on when I'm playing the game. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more like what you're saying, Dave. It's just
you've always
there's
got
more stuff
you've
that
always
you
got
can do.
projects in these games.
Yeah.
Like little things that you're working towards. That's what they're really about.
And now that I think about it, there's missions in the game where you go to a space station and you can pick up missions from a guy that's just giving out missions. But there's 3 different guilds in the game. So there's like the Merchants Guild, Explorers Guild, blah, blah, blah. And you can do quests for them. And I don't know what that actually ends up unlocking, because there's in every space station there's one of the guilds there. And you can go and speak to them, but they won't talk to you unless you've got a good enough standing with them, and you have to go and do their missions in order to do that. So you can go and do stuff like that. I mean, again, you can just go out into space and just start shooting pirates if that's what you want to do. There are definitely it does feel like there's more options in No Man's Sky Next compared to how I felt it was like 2 years ago, where it just felt like I was just moving across the galaxy and not really enjoying it too much. Eventually,
How's the combat in this game? Because I'm getting
I do remember
getting
the
a little bit
dogfights being
interested.
pretty fun.
they were
That
pretty.
was like something I quite
They're
enjoyed.
more fun and less serious compared to something like Elite Dangerous, for example. In Elite Dangerous, you always felt like.
Well, Elite
You
Dangerous
could be
is trying to be
outmatched
an actual
properly.
simulator,
Yes.
whereas this is probably
Whereas No
again,
Man's Sky
an
Next,
arcade thing.
I've never. I'm at a point, even though I'm in this little explorer ship, I've upgraded its guns and stuff like that, and I'm at a point where if I get into a dogfight with 5 pirates, I'm still confident I'm going to win it. And the fights are fun. Like, you're just flying around an asteroid field, just shooting the shit out of each other. So, and there's a variety of different guns in it as well that you can put into your ship and see how they work.
I might just pick it up. Finally.
You say that about every game that we talk about.
Oh man.
He wants to play them all.
But yes, I am quite happy with what's going on with No Man's Sky Next. And it's a game that I turn on and say, I'll play it for an hour, and I'm there for 5 hours later, just digging up copper. You know, it is one of those games where you're just like, oh, I'll go and do this next little thing. I'll go and do this next little thing, and yeah, you just end up sitting there for hours. But yeah, I am enjoying it. I'm quite pleased with the way that they've improved it. And there's one comment that I've read, and I can't remember where I read it. Somebody said you have to give the developers their due, because they could have just given up on No Man's Sky and went off and say, look, we'll just go make No Man's Sky 2. And they haven't really done that. They've stuck with it for the past 2 years.
That's actually a very good point, because it was
and
a very...
They've improved it and put in the things that people asked for. Not exactly how they asked for it, but like, you know, because you don't want to do that, because then you just end up making the same game as everybody else. But yeah, they have added in a lot of things that people thought were missing, in particular the multiplayer thing. Which is buggy, but I'm not going to go into that. Just if you're going to play multiplayer, just like, you know, be ready for people's icons to not be in the location that they're in. Okay, well, I think that wraps up episode 90.
Oof.
And I think we can now officially call this the countdown to 100.
Oh yeah.
Which is, I've got some ideas for episode 100. They're racing through my mind.
It was coming.
Wow.
We're going to get together and record a new theme tune soon.
Yeah.
Which is going to be ready for episode
Exciting.
100.
Pavel's going to do a rap.
Yeah, the Pavel. He's going to do
what?
A rap.
This is getting the keyboard out.
Oh my
it. He's going to do it in Polish. Yeah.
Polish rap.
Yeah.
Shit. Let's do that.
I'm sure that's a fascinating genre, Pavel.
No.
It's a sparse one.
Okay, we will give out all our internet stuff. So if you want to email us, it's firstplayertoken@gmail.com. That's FIRST. You can find us on all them social media things like Facebook and Twitter. We have a Discord, which is discord.me/firstplayertoken. Oh, I should have said the Twitter is @1stplayertoken.
That'll be once player token.
Once player token.
We need to practice this. We've
Yeah,
not
well,
done it for too long.
it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
So
Sorry.
you just can't help yourself. Sorry, you're throwing me a bit there. Yeah, you can get all our episodes on SoundCloud. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher. We have a YouTube. You can find us on there. We have a PSN community if you want to jump on that. We have a Twitch these days, which again is 1ST player token. Do you want to say it again, Euan?
I might as well. Once player token.
Thank
Get
you
it right
very
this time.
much. My Twitch username is Unnecessary Chris, although I haven't streamed anything for a while because I've not got the time. But also, we are part of the Podnose Network.
UK's leading entertainment podcast network.
Right, Euan, you must have some news for us.
There's been a few developments, but I can only remember one. Is the fact that the Strange Times, no, not Strange, All Seeing Guys second radio play thing has now been released.
Excellent.
I can't remember exactly what it's called.
But they're called the All Seeing Guys, and you can check them out.
Yeah. It's got a vulgar name like the first one, like most of their podcast episodes, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay, right, cool. Thanks very much. We will be back next week with a board games episode for sure. We have played.
Sure.
We've actually racked up a few board games to talk about here, so expect some Bunny Kingdom next week.
Fascinating.
Which Pawel is gutted he missed out on.
I don't know. What's the story in that game?
What's the story?
Yeah.
The bunnies are building a kingdom.
Yeah, you know what? I'm fine.
But they're doing it through fiefdoms, Pawel. Fiefdoms.
There's bunny fiefdoms.
There's bunny fiefdoms.
Holy shit.
Whatever next. What a time to be alive. Okay, well, we'll see you next week for the board games episode. So until then, thanks for listening.
Bye.
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 Bye.